Cable bills with Platinum Loyalty MasterCard. Not a cable customer? Sign up today and get more out of your internet, TV, shopping, and payment experience. The Cable's Value Bundle, Ultra TV, Internet, free HBO Max, and Platinum Loyalty MasterCard at $250 value for only $157 per month. Call the Cable 465-2588 and come experience the value.
Good morning to everyone tuned in to ZIZ by various means and methods. Thank you for choosing ZIZ and welcome to Frank and Candid, the first session for this week. Today, of course, Monday, 25th July 2022. I wonder what it will be like a year from today. Would we have settled in nicely and things will be running smoothly? Think it should again be on the up and up? Or will we be preparing for another set of elections? Because that is something that is very much within the realms of possibility based on the various outcomes that are possible as a result of next week Friday's vote. Well, this week we want to talk about a couple of things, starting today with some more election trivia if you wish, some facts and stats, and then you may wish to discuss them. Firstly, we want to look at two things: voter turnout over the past years and the number of spoiled ballots, and what does that, or what do those signify. For example, as I have been mentioning, in 1971, we had a voter turnout of 88%. We have not had anything close to that. Well, we've had something close to that, but that has not been equaled. far less surpassed since. 1971, 88%. The PAM party, the People's Action Movement, would have contested its second election in 1971. Voter turnout was high. In 1984, for example, I like to look at the stats between 1952 and then after independence. In 1984, first elections after independence in 1983, we had a 78% turnout. 78. In 1989, 67% turnout. That's 10% lower than 1984. 1984, 78. 1989, 68. Sorry, make that 67. 1993, when we know there was a tie, PAM and Labour each winning 4 seats, where there was a 66% turnout of voters. 66%. That moved up a bit 2 years later. Well, less than 2 years later. We know that that's the shortest lifespan of a government in the history of St. Kitts, when just a year and 8 months later, we had elections again, 1993 and 1995, when 68% of the voters turned out. In 2000, when Labour won all 8, there was a 68% turnout. 68% voter turnout. By 2004, that had been reduced to 63% turnout. Believe it or not, it moved up real high in 2010 to 84% turnout. 2010. That's the closest we've got to 88%. And it fell dramatically in 2015, when 74% of the voters turned out. 74. From 85% in 2010 to 74% in 2015. And last elections, 2 years ago, there was a 62% turnout. What are the factors that predispose to these fluctuations? What do you think? Last week we looked at why do some people vote and some don't. So of course the answers would be similar, I suppose. But it's interesting that sometimes we have so many persons turning out, close to 90, and then sometimes we barely pass the 50% mark. By the way, the figures I'm giving you are for St. Kitts, The figures I'm giving you are for St. Kitts. If I may give you the general, because Nevis has almost always had a lower turnout of voters. I'm talking about the federal elections, of course. Nevis has always had a lower turnout. For example, in 2000, when we had 67% turnout here in St. Kitts, it was only 52% turnout in Nevis. In 2004, 63% turnout in St. Kitts and only 44 in Nevis. Less than half. In 2010, when we had the big figure of 84%, there was 79% turnout in Nevis. In 2015, 74% turnout. In Nevis, it was 65% turnout. Last election, 2020, 2 years ago, there was a 62% turnout in St. Kitts and 48% turnout in Nevis. And Nevis has always been low, which means that the Federation's average is going to be lower than what it appears in St. Kitts. For example, in 2000, there was a 64% turnout overall. In 2004, 53% turnout overall, the lowest we've had so far, by the way, 53% turnout. In 2010, 82% turnout. In 2015, 70% turnout. And last election, 55% turnout at the federal level. Like again I ask, what do you think are the reasons why we have such large fluctuations? Another concern of mine is this: the number of spoiled or rejected ballots over the years. The number of spoiled or rejected ballots over the years. Now, whereas when we started off in, for example, in 1961, we had 479 rejected ballots. Now, that's a hell of a lot, based on the population, voting population at the time. 1961, 479, but you think that was high? It moved up to 639 rejected ballots in 1966. And I think that's the highest total we've had so far. 43% of the votes cast. 639 rejected ballots in 1966. In 1971, 536 rejected ballots. In 1975, 505 rejected ballots. Let's get closer to home. In 2015, 139 rejected ballots. And last election, in 2020, 255 rejected ballots. Now, one would think that since it's with its large percentage of literate people, and with all the electioneering and all the campaigning, that you would have a much lower level of spoiled or rejected ballots. The question is this being done deliberately? Voters willfully going in there and spoiling their ballots? Or is it that they're doing it out of ignorance? Which means that we need more political education. Not only to encourage people to vote, but encourage them how to vote. Because I think that these figures are very large. Bearing in mind, by the way, that some elections are lost or won by votes in single digits, which we've had in recent times. And I remember Constance Mitchum, for example, in 1993 winning by 10 votes. Okay? Which was a consternation, which brought about some consternation to a lot of people. Some are arguing that to win by 10 votes is not a real win. Okay? It's a pyrrhic victory, more or less, because you really can't do much. You can't. What claim can you lay to representing the people of that constituency with with a 10 vote margin, and far more than 10 persons, far more than 10 votes or ballots were rejected. So, in effect, one could argue that the winning candidate might have actually lost, because the majority of the rejected ballots were in fact cast for the losing candidate. And we know that is very, very much what happened in 1979 with the by-election in Central Bastille. Alright? And the matter was taken to court. And the individual who was announced loser in the first instance eventually became winner. And that precipitated general elections a year later. And of course, we know the history of that. So why do you think so many ballots are spoiled or rejected? And they're rejected because they're not valid, they're not good, they don't meet the criteria. And that's something I want to look at. So, why does the voter turnout rise and fall like that? Ebb and flow. And why are so many ballots not good? We're opening the lines now then, and you can call us if you wish and talk about that matter. Those matters and anything else concerning the political history, both distant and recent, if you wish. Alright. I also want to ask the question. There's been a lot of talk, of course, about people destroying the property, the paraphernalia, the posters, the billboards of other parties. Is there any evidence, direct evidence, anecdotal evidence, circumstantial evidence that these paraphernalia influence voters one way or the other? In other words, an individual who decides to vote for party A, is there any evidence at all that he or she changes his or her mind by virtue of being bombarded with the sights of these posters and pamphlets and billboards all over the place? I really wonder if that warrants some investigation, some research, or whether the parties are in fact spending money unnecessarily to acquire these items. Let's see what this caller says. Good morning, caller.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Blake.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
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 No, I can't at all.
I could hear you.
Okay, hold on a second while we get some help from the experts. Yeah. Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning. This is Frank and Candid on ZIZ Radio.
Yeah, Mr. Blake, you can hear me?
Okay. So, sorry about that if we lost that person. I perhaps need to get some training and some exposure to the technical aspects of this facility and this operation. But sorry we missed him or her. Let's see if we have another person on the line. Yes, we do.
Hello.
Good
Hello.
morning.
Good morning, Mr. Blake. Mr. Blake.
Not
Mr.
hearing a
Blake.
word. Not hearing a word.
Mr. Blake.
I know that this happens sometimes. I remember hearing Jazzy D complain about that sometimes on her Saturday morning show. So we're not hearing anyone. That's a problem which I cannot handle. That's what I cannot solve at the moment, and those who are steeped in that area are working on it. But I certainly be glad to be connected to my callers, my listeners, so that we can have fruitful dialogue and exchange of views and experiences and so on and so forth. All right, so we are saying that there's a lot of complaint about people, individuals ripping off, ripping down, ripping up the posters and so on of other parties. Apparently, we presume of parties which they do not support. But who knows? These might just be common criminals and simple vagabonds just out to cause mischief. In fact, some of them might very be juveniles who cannot vote by definition. And so, just as we have in schools, for example, where students just tear apart certain fixtures and so on in the schools, so for no apparent reason, that might very well be the case here. So we do not know. This is why one guy was arguing that clearly the cameras don't work, because the many cameras we have strategically positioned around the island should pick up some instance of this vandalism. But the question is, do these signs and posters and you know, literature and so on, do they really convince people? The question then is, what actually convinces people to vote one way or another, if not those that appeal to the sight? Is it that which they hear? Is it that which they read? Let's hope it's not that which they receive. Okay, but that's the question. I would like to hazard a guess that by and large, these paraphernalia, I like to use that term to describe them, they do not seriously influence or determine the outcome of persons' decisions to vote or not to vote. I really don't think so. You know, voting patterns and voting decisions over the years, I think, are based on family history. You know, your family has traditionally voted this way, so you're going to continue the trend, as it were. What is promised based on one's needs and expectations. So if I would like to have my son attend university, and a particular party promises to get him there at no cost to me, or at absolutely minimal cost to me, that might appeal to me more than somebody who offers, for example, a house. Because I might already have a house. I may not be too interested in a house and so on. So whereas party A is offering a house and party B is offering free scholarships, I might vote for party B. Right? Not because I see a poster that says put your X here, put your X there. You know. So that is what we're looking at, which I'd like to discuss with my callers, but that is still not in place. Now, so think about that and give me some answers when the opportunity arises, because if we don't get that today, we will have to do it tomorrow. So that is one area we'd like to examine. And as I was saying earlier, the number of persons who turn out to vote at various elections, we argue a lot that sometimes critical matters, critical issues, topics that affect people's day-to-day lives, that really decide the quality of their standard of living, are not properly addressed during the campaign, on the campaign trail. So is it is that one of the matters that determine whether people vote in large numbers or not? What is it that made people vote so heavily? So many persons turn out to vote in 1971 and again in 2010, for example. What is it that determined that? And then for the last election, 2020 and 2004, what is it that made so few people turn out? Turn out in some cases, right? We had the very last election, less than 50% of the registered voters turned out to vote. Only 47%. Well, 47.9%, so we could say 48. And in 2004, only 43.8%. So less than half of the population is animated, is encouraged, is given reason to want to vote. Why is it? Is it the slate of candidates at the time? Is it the amount of baggage, as we like to say, that they bring to the platform? Really, nothing is new. You know, why do people decide to turn out in such large numbers and sometimes so few? The very last election we had, for example, 2020, there's a lot of debate and concern as to why so many ballots were spoiled or rejected. Right? We remember in constituency number 1, there were 96 such spoiled ballots. That's a lot. Okay? And there is no discussing, there is no debate as to whether that large number, if they were actually valid, could have changed the outcome one way or another. The person who won could have won by a much larger margin, making him far more comfortable. Or the person who lost might have eventually been the winner, who knows. But that's a large number. Why have so many votes spoiled? Why are so many ballots rejected? We are told, of course, those of us who have voted, that there is a certain way and place to put the X on the ballot. Let's see what this caller has to say on this matter, and we thank the technicians for ensuring that we have restored our communication. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Mr. Blake.
Good.
Yes, you've outlined a number of different reasons why people turn out to the polls, and the answer is no one answer. Maybe it's just a combination of factors that do it. Okay, and I think, generally speaking, voters make decisions based on bread and butter issues. Okay, I mean, if they're personally affected, if they feel personally affected, or they feel they're going to be affected by the result of any particular election, you bet your life they're going to go out and vote. Okay, and so one of the things, for instance, that you hear many people talking about is jobs. Because regardless of what else there is, the only thing that really assures the dignity of people and the ability to survive regardless of what circumstances they're in is a job or a business that brings in income. That is what counts in the final analysis.
Yeah, decent and honest.
Hello?
One that is decent and honest.
Well, of course. Of course, well, we hope so, put it that way. Because sometimes the challenge is that if you are getting quote-unquote free money, then you're all right. And there's no such thing as free money. Somebody pays. Okay? And so once those initial needs are satisfied, then other things come into play. Now you mentioned the lots of billboards and so on influencing people. I would suggest to you that they can be, yes, they can probably create an impression of, that whoever is electing them, they have this in the bag kind of thing. But they can also be counterproductive because...
But then in that case, all parties have it in the bag because all parties do it.
No, but some do it more than others. Look around. Even right now, I'm not saying things won't change between now and election, but look around right now and see who have it the most, who have it the biggest, see whose campaign is flashy, whose campaign is slick. And I don't think they're comparable in that thing. But the problem with that is that it would also give the electorate cause to ponder and ask, well, where is this money coming from? And if the perception is, well, it's probably coming from our taxpaying dollars, somewhere or the other it finds its way into the campaign. I don't think that would be a good look for whoever is displaying all these flashy bills, etc. Okay? And remember too...
60 seconds. 60 seconds more.
Yeah, I'm saying remember too that there is this perception out there that the incumbent has the advantage in that respect. And it is usually because there is this idea that they're using state funds to fund their campaign. And that, we know, is wrong. It's something that electoral reform is supposed to correct. All right? And so, like I said, it can backfire.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, clearly, no one can argue that it's important that the source of funds for campaign financing be divulged. I think that is a critical part of the democratic process. That so that incumbency does not ride in such a superior way over opposition, because it's important that the playing field be level as much and as far as possible. But I think that's the way to go. I agree with the last caller, with my first caller, that there's so much to be done via electoral reform, but part of it definitely must include that. Parties must be compelled, they must be obliged to release the source from which their funds come. Let's take another caller. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Mikey. How are you doing?
I'm good. You said what matters, man. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I got the loan from him, I disagree with the caller with something he said.
Of course, go ahead.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how big or how many billboards put up. The fact to me, the billboard is what you call an advertisement for your business, what you're coming with. But it speaks to the voters' conscience. After you hear what the politicians have to offer, it's up to you now to assess which one sounds truthful and honest. And Mr. Blake, let me say this here, you hear me? Nobody who being dishonest, and it is publicly known, has the right to go on any political platform to tell people to vote for them. Once it is publicly known that that individual being dishonest and deliberately being dishonest, keep off the platform. I would suggest that. Another thing again, Mr. Blake. I heard it in the news this morning and yesterday, and it sounds so bad. I've been saying for years that we need to have a gun amnesty and illegal weapons. An amnesty, you bring in your illegal gun, and you give a certain time to bring them in. And if they catch me with one, then I bear the consequence. And the consequence is supposed to be so harsh that I will not even think about there is a word named GUN. Here the news in News happened Friday. Exactly at 2:47 Friday morning, Friday afternoon. Two scamps, burglars, hold up Ram's business place in Davis. went in with the mask and hold up people in there, hold up the cashier, and then take the money and run down with it. Now these people here, they don't care about the country. They're not supposed to do that. If you want anything, ask or walk. Don't take no gun and go rob nobody. And because they know the penalty for having an illegal gun and do that there is something nothing to talk about. That's why they go and do it. So I'm calling on the authorities then to have an amnesty on these illegal weapons. Don't wait no longer. I've been saying this for years and nobody taking me on. No, they could have shoot them people up the Irams, but is God direct them? They take him money and one go and I hope they catch him. Anyway, brother Blake,
Yeah.
I'm going to say this and I'm going. People will vote whether they get paid, yes or not. They will vote when the conscience tell them to vote. And no, the last thing yet. I think they should make the box that you have to put the action a little bigger.
Okay.
Because some people feel like unless they go close to the edge, the action is not completed. And some people hand the street when they write in. So maybe they hold the pencil and they hand edge and go over the body thing and touch it. So make the box so big that they can space in there to go round and round chin bar.
Okay.
Thank you, Brother Blake.
Thank you.
Okay.
Let's take another caller. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Yes.
Good morning, Mr. Blake.
Morning, ma'am.
Sometimes put you, why people don't really want to work, it's the honesty, because you promised me something, and when you do, you ain't give me, you give the big man them. So that is what my people don't like really good. And those names where they take off the voters thing, because people know work for 2 years to term, they're wrong to take them off. Because people still live in St. Kitts. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. But I think the supervisor of election has debunked that fear that no names actually taken off, although the law allows for it, because certainly I don't think we'll stand for that. Let's take another caller. Hello? That to me is totally undemocratic and unfair. Yeah, hello, caller.
Yeah, good morning, Brother Blake.
Yes, sir.
Brother Blake, well, you know that I listen to your opening topic, and your opening topic is so right, because the reason why some people don't go out there to vote, some people go out there to vote because maybe that they take something from this person, even for this political party, but they are supporting them, and they have the intention to vote anybody, and they can spoil the ballot. All these things happen. It's going to take people in this country. There was a political side the other day. They have jumping up to this political side. Some people are there to the Sunday and get up. Part of us, where they was praising and jumping and enjoying for, and the age of her. I see it happen. And I like to know, if these people now, you come over on the side, if people don't take this serious, you don't push me down to the nice thing. You don't praise me up. You don't come and say that this is worst person. Come from me say now, how are we going to take this serious? Let them do politics. Ignorance. The next thing Sunday. Saturday. We had
Yeah, I really, Mr. Politics, I'm struggling valiantly to hear what you're saying. It is far from clear.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you better now, yeah.
I think you had a pop-up meeting on Saturday down in my village. They're going to do that under advertisement. Now we're on the basketball court. Now the meeting was going on. And then we took the Candid show. You understand? And some supporters and family show. And then with one view was him saying, doing out anything, I thought, these things are good. I remember the people are saying, and destroy political movement. I remember the police, the 80s and the 19th century. It used to happen. But then cut off now, that was never you need to know. But if I am supporting the party, I am coming around for listening. And if I come around for listening, I can listen because you don't know the election. And you got to listen to the history. discussing, abusing, and coming here to the try to support them and tell them to him that that is nothing with the game. But it is a political setup. The setup was to bring them together with social media and the social system that the people in constituency number change by security, they don't want to give up. What is all in it to me? Man, you got to take out of this political ignorance.
Okay, very well.
Yeah.
But tell you, I'll give Mr. Politics some advice. I think we should let a lot of these things slide and don't bother with them and don't be perturbed by them and don't carry on over them. Just let it pass, because no matter how much he's talking, it's not going to change anything. In fact, some people might just deliberately carry on worse just to upset him and to rile him up, and they'll get pleasure out of that. So that's my advice, that learn to let a lot of things just pass. I personally saw Connis and Aquila in church on yesterday morning, and they were both very civil towards each other and very pleasant, and the way it ought to be. So we like to say that sometimes we the voters carry on and want to kill one another, the politicians themselves are relaxed and enjoy each other's company. You know, when we want to stab and hurt each other because of our political differences, the opposing candidates are having a beer and playing dominoes together at some table somewhere. So I really think that we need to learn, a lot of us, to just see things and let it pass. You know, because humans are going to behave the way they want as much as they can. You know, very often it's only legislation that prevents people from carrying on with certain types of activity and certain conduct. But the rest of us, as much as we want to see change in their behavior, we're not going to effect that change by complaining, and certainly by using a certain tone of voice when we exercise those complaints. Let's take another caller. Hello.
National dish.
Hello.
Good morning. Yeah. Good morning. You hearing me?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah. Good morning, Blake. What I would like to know, I have an idea of what determines or what is being looked at to decide when a ballot is spoiled or rejected. That's my concept.
Okay. Now, I guess that question can only be answered by the returning officer or the supervisor of elections, because at the place of counting, it is at that point, for example, I myself am the presiding officer, but I don't see the ballots. I don't see who the person votes for. I just give them and fold them and put them where they belong and so on, and then the actual opening of the ballots for counting purposes is done at a central location, and it is those officials who determine whether a vote is spoiled or not. I'm not so sure what constitutes such a spoiled vote. Now that's a good question. I do know that generally the X is supposed to be placed within the box without any of the lines of the letter, any part of the letter X touching any of the sides of the square of the box. That is supposed to constitute a spoiled ballot which qualifies it for rejection. But and I think there's a difference between rejected and spoiled ballots as well. I'm going to see clarification on that and pass it on to you sometime this week. But it is whatever the reasons are, the numbers are too high in my view. Let's take another caller. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Go on.
Good morning, Mr. Blake.
Morning, sir.
What I call about Mr. Blake, I learned something I know. All of it was I vote. Nobody never come in here and shake my hand and give me an evil opinion. I think in time now that everything I get, I appreciate it. I remember that, but when you see them into the next 5 years. So anything come my way right now, I will be fully with it. Some people have said they don't like it, but they still love it. That's the whole problem about it. When the time they come, and the do something
Thank you. Now the question is, if our foundation rewards, well, gives an individual something, a gift, after the vote, does that constitute a bribe? I don't think it should or could. But if I come and, I know if I give it to you before, I'm committing an offense. But if I give it to you after, is that too unaccepted? Let's take this caller. Hello? Hello, caller?
Hello, good morning, good Blake. How are you?
Hello, Brother Doran. Please, you have 2 minutes maximum.
Yes.
You have 2 minutes maximum.
She didn't
hear me.
I have some concern.
Yes, not hearing me.
Yes, I want to blow the manifesto. Let's see what they're going to do for the country. That's not talk.
Remember the manifesto?
I don't know what they're going to do the next 5 years. We need work in the country, investors to come in and do some work. Just young people work. We have a bit, right now we have a thing going on over there with the prison, building the prison. And I sure go over there now you can't income 50 people there from singles. That shouldn't be, because they're in all the soil and they're supposed to be all the work. Right? And next thing again, they're saying that the school was burned down by this young lady. The school never burned down by a young lady. I saw the lady 2 weeks before I went over to a pram meeting, and I saw the lady, and Mr. Blake, even though she have a mental problem, to me she was looking normal. And it's not no normal, it's not she burned down the school, they have the wrong person. She put my head all and gas in there the night. Now they're calling and suspecting someone who now passed away. Right? We look so behind the Prime Minister now and saying something is to do with me. He dead now, so there's a dead man telling the tale. I beg them level the young woman. The young woman knows nothing about burning down the school. And Brother Blake, let me ask you a question. There is camera out there on the pole, I don't go out there often. How come they never turn the camera and show who really burned the school? That's what they say they put up the cameras and for. They need to stop fooling people all the time. Right? And stop playing up in people's mind. And I like how somebody saying, I know some people are complain one thing or one over. Things will talk because it's election. You don't say things about me, I don't say things about you, but some people are in trouble them for real.
30 seconds.
I could talk the 2 people from the other the car in trouble them. I don't know whether they're reminiscing about why look at me.
30 seconds.
Hello?
You have 30 seconds more, so finish up now, please.
Yes. So that is what I concern. You need to let the young lady and go and dig up the dead and ask the dead the question. You the young lady, let go the young lady and the person not dead now. Okay. And dead man tell no tales.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. We'll take another caller. Hello?
Yeah, man, good morning. How are you, man?
I'm good. And you?
Yeah, okay, I don't know what the topic is this morning, but I just want to make some statements or make a small contribution.
Yeah, you have 2 minutes maximum.
Okay, real quickly, right? I don't really see anything changing in the music at all. And, I've been just listening and, watching and observing. And my question is we have a fallout between 2 major parties, right? These major parties, the coalition was a 3-party coalition. If we cannot get nothing done with a 3-party coalition, how and when are we going to be able to get changes made? You know what I'm saying? I mean, there was a fallout between 2 major issues, term limits for the Prime Minister and leaving to stay here. Why are these 2 issues and the ballots coming up as referendums? You know what I'm saying? This election that's coming up, the parties are campaigning, the old side of campaigning, promising these things again, but there is no steps made towards really implementing anything that the people is asking for. Those 2 big issues should be on the ballot. You understand, as referendum, and let the people vote on this, and the new government that's going to form, when they come in, if the people in place to get those turnout down or any other laws for that matter, then the new government when it's formed, they've got to enact that stuff in Parliament. And if they don't, we just try them out in the next election.
30 seconds.
The people in Newton have more power in their hands. And one of the things they do is go real quickly. I don't know what people do an election and the overseas voters, they have to apply to come and do their own country upon them. I can't see that's happening. That's a form of disenfranchisement now.
Okay.
And somebody gotta look at this.
Okay.
Alright, that's my contribution, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's take another call. Hello. Hi.
Hi, Mr. Blake. Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Two things I wish to discuss on what
Excuse me?
you said earlier. Hello?
Yes. Would you mind starting again, please?
Two things I wish to discuss what you put out earlier is that the amount of billboard signs that would be around. I think there should be few in every constituency at strategic positions. After all, the candidates will have to meet and greet every constituent. Some of it is being done, sometimes they go to a certain area and persons are not here for whatever reason. And then the constituency are bigger constituencies. And simply for me, we are small knit community, so it seems like everybody tends to know everybody. But be that as it may, there are some signs that does not have the name, only have the name of the individual, the candidate on it, and there are some innovation now where the picture of the individual candidate might be on that poster. That's good. That person to get familiarized with the individual, you know. But at a strategic point, I like to see a few. On all the three parties, I'm thinking they are positioned in areas that...
60 seconds more.
Pardon me?
60 seconds more.
And also, the spoiled ballots. You would have thought that 1979 spoiled so many spoiled ballots, and in 2020 spoiled ballots. Something, to me, my suspicion, something was of a miss in the 2020 election. And I'm going to follow up on that discussion of the spoiled ballots another time.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much. All right. All callers from now on, you have 1 second. Sorry, you have 1 minute. All callers henceforth have 1 minute. Please abide by that particular rule, if you wish. Hello, caller.
Yes, hello. Mr. Blake. Listen, last night, the KFC Kingdom, half a tree, right? Them following, making no noise and all we can't go in the country, it's Jamaican and we go anywhere, and go in the country to make no noise. So all the country to slack, because all the country, suppose we got manners, so them do. Think these people go for the platform, not them do. See you.
Okay. This person is making a client call for petitions to take primacy.
Hello.
Let's take another caller. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Blake. When the counter spoil ballot, you're entitled to spoil a ballot and be given one to vote again.
If you're aware that it is spoiled, yes.
Spoiled, yes. Let the public know, because maybe some of these here are saying spoiled. They ain't actually spoiled. They were spoiled from whatever. You in deception are doing it, but you ask for next ballot. And it has to be given to you. You have to spoil this ballot.
Yeah, but then I don't think... Let me explain quickly. If you spoil a ballot inadvertently, you realize it is spoiled, and you ask for another one, of course you get another one.
Yes.
That original ballot that is spoiled is not counted. Is not listed among the spoiled ballots.
That goes into an envelope or something. This spoiled ballot. But it is replaced in most cases. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it is replaced in most cases, because that only happens, like I said, if the individual is aware that he or she has made a
Spoils a ballot and he asks you to request it.
If he or she is aware that he has made a mistake.
Yes.
Sometimes, very often I believe, the folks are not aware that they have made an error.
I do believe this now.
Okay.
No. I started in the couple from 1982, maybe just the last year before, so I know it.
Yeah.
You gotta go through more thing and swearing and do all other things. So that is what they're doing. When they realize what they're doing, when they're being bribed and that kind of thing, they realize the mistake. So we just spoil. but I take your money. I don't have anything. So I got to go with you.
Okay.
Right, okay.
Thank you. Well, there's no debate that there's some number of ballots are legitimately spoiled. In other words, the folks assume that they're doing the right thing, but according to the officials that in the county area, no, this is not acceptable. And do not accept the argument that most people deliberately spoil their ballots. Let's take another caller. Hello. Hello.
Hello, Mikey.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I heard Chapman talk something this morning.
You heard
And
that?
now I've got a problem
No.
with the people.
Excuse me, what did he say? You heard that?
I heard Chapman making some statement this morning. And it come to me like he had a personal problem with the leader, you know. But Chapman must put himself.
That's with me. Man, what are you referring to? Chapman?
Yes,
Chapman.
Chapman.
Yeah, I'm not understanding what you're referring to, but remember we don't accept people calling names, eh? No name calling.
Yeah, but one time, Mikey, I want him to know that he must done with the labor type of propaganda politics. Them things ain't working in English no more. People is lying. You see like he come up here his computer now. He cannot come to the public, misleading the public. Them things don't work now, Mike. You must come. I'm glad when he come and he said that you stop him and you talk with him, you know. But to me, that's a person, when he don't want to put himself on a ballot. Put your name up.
Manners, I have to stop you there. Manners.
Put your name, yes, sir.
No, you have to recognize that this is the democracy, people have a right.
Of course.
Right, so you have to respect that, but you're not speaking. No, wait. You are not speaking. The two of us can't be speaking at the same time. The two of us can't be speaking at the same time.
From a little boy, little children, and press up step. There you have some labor supporters, maliciously. From the message of go around and telling lies.
Okay, 30 seconds.
The newspaper don't come and correct the country. It is not correct. And they're very good at it. And they still see the corona and these kind of things. Have a good day.
Yeah, wow, what do you think? Cheese and bread. If I don't laugh, I'll have to laugh. But seriously, Manners and everybody else has to recognize that as much as we don't like what other people say, or we don't like other people, period, we have to recognize that they have a right to live and exist, just like you, just like me, just like everybody else. And they have a right to say what they wish. And I used to quote, when I was saying before, I used to quote Voltaire quite a bit. I mean, you should read what you say. But I will defend to the death your right to say it. I say all the time, people have a right to be wrong. They don't have a right to do wrong. But you have a right to be wrong. You have a right to err, to make a mistake. And we should not be upset with people for expressing their views, especially when those persons are doing so in a polite and decent manner. Let's take another caller. Hello?
Hi, very good morning.
Yes, sir.
Listen, I would like to have these candidates that are running for elections to tell the supporters, right, that it's not a good thing to be going around and putting up posters and pulling down the other person's posters. I mean, that only happens when you have nonsensical people, because that is ridiculous what they're doing. And they need to know that posters will vote, eh? So you can put up all the posters you want. Okay? Posters do not vote. But they need to stop pulling down people's posters. So the candidates need to tell their supporters, stop it. Because that, they are already trying to divide the country, but it's going to divide people from this part of life if they don't stop it. Or somebody will like it. Okay? Thanks a lot.
Thank you. We have another caller. We should maybe the last one. Hello?
You're going to break. I don't like to see where politics going right now. I mean that every man got a title to their own opinion. Every man got a right to say what they want to say. But we as petition and religion, when someone comes from the radio and make an allegation about something and intend you, we got a right to come and call that is for people. Because people in the dance are listening to them. party. People come on and say because of the political religion and who the party to it, and try to bring down the other political party, or try to bring down this candidate. So you let nothing like that for somebody possible to tell you about. And you come on and you try to counteract them by because we cannot follow people to mislead people. And these people are educated people who to teach people who sometimes who is doctors, who is lawyers, or whoever. Come on and try to brainwash people with the ignorance. Everybody that thinks it's going well, instead of going on, we ain't had it like before. We have been not more than crime and all anything. And this thing that is an issue.
Yeah.
Any country left that kind of crime. Some crime was gone. Nobody took that crime.
10 seconds.
At least that we got to slow down. We got to slow down.
Okay.
And this government has done a lot. We got to have the leader. He has done a lot for the village.
Okay.
So I just want to thank God for the creation, thank God for things, and thank God for the
Now you see, this is what Mr. Politics and others have to understand. That's the last caller. We have to skip any more calls. He is of the view that Dr. Harris has done a hell of a job. Other people share that view, and we respect that. But you have to also respect others who think that he has not done a good job. That is the reality. You're first you think that Dr. Douglas did the best job in the world while he was there. And we respect that view, but there are others who think that he did a rotten job. So if you think that Dr. Harris has done the greatest job in the world, more power to you. That's your belief. Hold on to it. But you can't get to the fellow who thinks that Dr. Harris has not done a very good job. Because that's how it is and how it has always been and will always be. People think that Robert Thatcher was the best in the world. Others think he was close to the worst. There are those who think that Dr. Simmons was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Some think he was anything but. The same for Dr. Douglas, the same for Dr. Harris. So why is Mr. Politics or anybody else vexed with other people if they don't agree with him that saying it is going well, that Dr. Harris has done the best job in the world? There are people who would disagree with you. Leave the people alone and let them disagree as much as they wish, provided they don't engage in anything libelous, as I said before, or defamatory. But some people seem to be upset with anybody who says that Dr. Harris has not done a good job. Just like some people are upset with anybody who said Dr. Douglas did not do a good job. Ladies and gentlemen, let's continue to be civil and to be tolerant. Thank you for being a part of Frank Candid today. We'll continue tomorrow.